So I'm going to make a statement here that a lot of people might consider to be blasphemy. But if you've been around sports of any type for any period of time, this is something that you will start to notice to be true. And there's a lot of reasons why it's true. And that is the fact that the overwhelming majority of the time, with some exceptions, the most talented and gifted athletes oftentimes make for bad coaches. They tend to be bad coaches. And that's not always true, but there's a reason for that, and it's something that a lot of people don't think about. And that is the fact that most of your champions in any sport, people who you think of as the genetically elite, are very physically gifted with specific traits that allow them to be better at sports in general, sometimes specific to their sport, and sometimes just general athletic genes, which is usually defined by explosiveness and work capacity. And they tend to be physical geniuses. They tend to be physical geniuses. And that doesn't always mean that they are good at communicating. And that's a big thing in there also. That's an important factor. And what I mean by a physical genius, most of you out there have encountered at different points in your life people who are dramatically more intelligent than you are at certain endeavors, whether it's math, hard sciences, things like that. In other words, you might have taken your first calculus class and you really had to work hard to get a B on that first test. You might have had to study for 20 hours to get an 80 on that first calculus test. And then there was someone in your class who walked in and aced it. And you start chatting with them and they didn't study that hard. For them, they looked at calculus, they looked at the concepts, did a little bit of the homework, and it just clicked. They understood it. They are a mathematical genius. Math comes to them easy. It's a concept that they understand intrinsically for a number of reasons. Or people who are musical geniuses. In other words, you might have had to spend a lot more time learning basic chords and arpeggios and scales to learn to play the guitar or the piano, and someone else picked it up 5 times faster than you, right? They still put in the work, but they put in a fifth of the work that you did to reach that same level of accomplishment. Well, you also have physical geniuses. You have physical geniuses who you teach them one time. You show them how to do something and they see what you do. They look at where your knees went, where your elbows went. They look at the path, the movement pattern that you did, and they walk over and replicate it. You show them one time and it clicks. They're very aware of their own body mechanics and they can observe someone do something and they can pick it up very, very quickly. Now, they'll have to practice it a little bit, but that's the person who can watch a squat tutorial video or a power clean tutorial, walk into the gym, and perform a perfect high bar squat or a perfect power clean their first day in the gym, their first day performing that exercise. They can go watch a tutorial. They can have a coach show it to them. They'll observe everything. They'll see how to get rid of the arm pull, and they'll learn exactly where their jump position is on a power clean, and they'll jump up and do a power clean. Right? You'll give them the empty barbell. They'll have it down in 3-4 minutes. Put some plates on there, and in 5 minutes, they're performing a proper clean without arm pull, where they leap, they come completely off the floor, duck under the bar, rack it, and they perform it their first day in the gym. Right? You take someone like that who can do that, and it doesn't have to be lifting. It can be basketball, throwing a baseball. Physical geniuses learn these things very, very easily. They are very body aware. Now you combine that with someone who has a natural 35-inch or 36-inch vertical leap without training, who you go test their vertical at 16, 17 years old, they can have a vertical of 36 inches. Right? There are people who do that untrained. Now you combine those factors together, what do you get? That's someone who's an elite athlete. That person chooses to go into basketball, they're probably going to get a scholarship. They choose to go into football, they're probably going to get a scholarship. They choose to go into powerlifting, that guy's going to deadlift 700 pounds while weighing 200 later, within 5 years. That guy is going to be able to squat 500 pounds, weighing 200 pounds body weight, within 3 years of walking into the gym, right? If they have someone who coaches them on how to do it. So here's your situation. When you take someone like that, who has a very high vertical leap, they're genetically explosive because they have more fast twitch fibers than most people, have a high work capacity, they're a physical genius, and they are highly motivated. Do you think they're going to have to do a lot of learning to excel at a sport? Or is someone going to teach them a few things, they're going to practice a bit, work hard, and they're going to do amazingly well at it? They don't have to learn much. And in fact, people who coach that person isn't going to have to work very hard. In other words, they don't need the best coach in the world to make them good enough to get a scholarship or to go pro in a sport. They just need a coach who teaches them just enough. So conversely, if you take someone like that, do you think that person has the secrets to taking the average person and making them good? If they never bother to learn how to coach anyone but themselves, and let's say they do coach some other people, they coach some D1 level athletes, do you really think that person is going to obtain the knowledge necessary to train you to be good at something? Do you think that person is going to be able to train you to get a football scholarship? Do you think they're going to have the knowledge necessary, especially if you're average? You think that they're going to have the knowledge to teach you how to go national level in powerlifting? Do you think they're going to be able to coach you to be a pro bodybuilder? Probably not, because these people have no concept, unless they specifically spent years training and coaching average people. They have no concept of what an average person needs. That person could try to teach you how to perform a barbell squat, and if you don't get it right within 3 minutes, they might get frustrated because they don't understand. Because a person like that, you show them how to perform a barbell squat, they walk over and squat. They seat the bar, they step back, they turn their knees out, and they drop ass to grass, and they squat it up with the bar staying over their midfoot, exactly like you showed them. And if they show you that, they don't understand why you don't get it. They're probably thinking that you're really stupid, because they might not even be that smart of a person in other ways, and they learn it immediately. So that's kind of the point. When you're looking at someone to coach you, your best option may not always be to take someone because they're an international level champion, that they have some special knowledge that will help you with average genetics compete at their level. No, they probably don't. And what I would tell you is that if, say, you're trying to get stronger, just pick something like strength training. Do you think it's going to be more impressive for someone to teach you the deadlift who is completely average genetics, not an athletic bone in their body, yet they managed to build up to a 600-pound deadlift while weighing 220? Do you think they're going to be able to teach you more if someone who is a gifted athlete who maybe got a scholarship to a D1 school, let's say they did. They got a scholarship to a D1 school, never really coached average people at any point in their life, and they jump over into, say, powerlifting or strength training, and they deadlift 700 while weighing 200. Let's say they're in the 198, and they deadlift 700. Do you think that person had to obtain as much knowledge to get their own lift to that as the guy who's the next weight class up pulling 100 pounds less, who's not an athletic bone in their body? No, the other person probably had to learn more about recovery, training programming, leverages to get where he is. Because here's the secret with a lot of these people who are at the very top, they get a lot of things wrong. When you see people who, a lot of us out here, a lot of people who give information and coaches will tell you, look, this isn't the best way to do something, and you'll be like, but this champion does it and that champion does it. Exactly. Because that person is so genetically gifted and they have such a high work ethic, and when they throw drugs in the mix, all that person has to do is train really, really hard. And they can do a lot of stuff really wrong. They can do a lot of really stupid stuff and still compete at the world level in the upper echelons and maybe break a record. And if you don't believe me there, you'd be surprised how many people in the exact same sport, doesn't matter whether it's football, Olympic lifting, powerlifting, who are at exactly the same level, who are rivals for each other, who the way that they train is totally different. And the people say, well, they found what works for them. No, they didn't. Well, they did. You know what works for them? Training really, really damn hard. That's what works for someone who is so genetically gifted that they're in the top 10% genetically for their sport, who also starts throwing some drugs in the mix, or particularly a lot of drugs. Their secret, all they have to do at that point is train really, really hard and not get hurt. That's their secret. And what you're going to find is that that won't even work for you, because if you don't possess their genetic and chemically enhanced recovery and work capacity, the way they train very well might bury you. So their one magic secret in most cases won't even work for the average Joe. So what I would recommend to people when you're looking at what people are giving you advice, or you're looking for a coach or things like that, you need to be very careful about looking purely at what they have accomplished themselves. You need to look at, number one, what have their clients accomplished? And number two, how much does their philosophy and their training ideas make sense with what we know of studies of average people? Does it make sense biomechanically? Does the nutrition make sense from a scientific perspective? Or is it all just a bunch of bro science mumbo jumbo? And that they're able to get away with it because they are so gifted as an athlete, and they're using enough drugs that they can do really stupid stuff and still crush everyone else. Doesn't make them a good coach. It just means they're very, very gifted and they work really hard. Not the same thing as being able to teach other people. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.